Welcome to Chad Hates Carbs. Today we're going to do a Cheesehead Pizza, which is a take on the fathead pizza, slightly modified, and should be a good time. So let's get started. Step one in these type of recipes is the shredded mozzarella. This is the giant bag from Sam's, and we're going to go ahead and stick this and 3 ounces of cream cheese in the microwave. This is just this is actually cream cheese from Aldi, the Aldi brand. We're going to stick this in the microwave. I normally have to cook mine a little bit longer because we do have the frozen mozzarella, so it's probably a minute and a half before it gets to the point where I can incorporate it, but we'll check it after a minute and a half. Yeah, all these recipes talk about putting them in for 30 seconds and stuff and then checking it. Sure enough, I put it in for a minute and a half and it's still not incorporated at all, so I'm going to have to stir it quite a bit, kind of mash stuff into some semblance of combined, and then try it again. So you are going to have to take a break and mix it around, otherwise it's not going to incorporate very well. So let's try it again for another 30 seconds. There we go. This is much better melt, and everything's combined together pretty well. So you can see as soon as you start stirring it, it definitely starts to homogenize, which is exactly what you're looking for. So there we go. That's what we want. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to add in all of our remaining stuff. And that stuff, in this case, is 1 cup of almond flour. It's a 1/4 cup of Parmesan, an 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt, a dash of garlic powder, which dash isn't enough, so I put an 1/8 of a teaspoon in there. Then it calls for Italian seasoning, so I put an 1/8 of a teaspoon of basil because it's the inferior, and I put a full 1/2 teaspoon of oregano because it's the better of the two. So we're just going to mix that stuff in, along with 1 egg that's been beaten. So we're going to mix this in. I'm going to start it off. Just kind of folding it in, and eventually I'm probably going to go the route of doing it with my hands. So I'll show you that method here in a second once I get this kind of cut in a little bit. So this is the hand method. Just get my hand wet in water, regular old water, and then I just mix it like this. The reason I get my hand wet is to make it less sticky. That did not work today. Some days it works, some days it doesn't. But as you can see, it's sticking pretty good to my hand, which is unfortunate because it means that I'm going to have to wash my hands. So some people will coat their hand in oil as well. The problem is that the oil doesn't work it hasn't worked any better for me than just using water. But this idea of getting it mixed by just using my fingers works much better than trying to just cut everything in, because it takes forever to use a spatula. So just understand that your hands are going to be sticky. So anyway, that's how you mix it up. And now what we're going to do is we're going to slap it on the container here, or the silpat. We're going to kind of mush it out into, they're saying, 1/4 inch, and that seems somewhat reasonable. And once we get that going, we'll go ahead and slap it in a 425 degree oven for 10 to 15 minutes. Really, you have to cook the crust first, and then you turn around and cook the other stuff on top of it, but we'll come back and I'll show you what the crust looks like once it's done. Okay, I brought back out the spatula, and it actually works surprisingly well for spreading this crust out. I was not expecting that at all. So mix it with your hands, I guess, and then break out the spatula to kind of spread stuff around. I'm just trying to get it kind of covered. This is after 10 minutes, so the 15 to 20 minutes I was telling you before was crazy. This is what you need to do. is cook it until it's brown, and you can see that it's brown and 425 degrees, so don't touch it like I just did. At this point, what we want to do is we want to get our pizza sauce and whatnot, so let's grab that real quick. And for our pizza sauce, we're going to use basically, this is 2 tomatoes from the garden, and then we're going to use a can of tomato paste. Just going to mix that in. This is going to be super thick. And you can buy pizza sauce. I don't have any pizza sauce. We have fresh tomatoes, so why not use the fresh tomatoes? But I'm going to go ahead and use what I got on hand, which is tomato paste and fresh tomatoes. So we'll do that. And then once I get this, I'm going to magic bullet this together, and then we'll spread it on our pizza. Okay, I lied. This is far too boring. Tastes like tomatoes. So I'm going to add some onion powder. About that much. I'm going to add some paprika. I don't know, about that much. I'm going to add some crushed red pepper. Get a little bit of zip. We're going to add some more zip later. Just, make it a little bit more exciting. Add some more basil. Not a ton, because basil's good and all that, but oregano's that's where the good stuff is. So we'll put in some oregano. Of course, oregano's far more shy. Let's put that in there. And of course, we're going to add some more garlic powder. There we go, that's looking good. So that's what we're going to put in our pizza sauce. And hopefully that'll be a little bit more exciting. Alright, so now we've got the pizza crust out. Now we just put some sauce on top of here. Our doctored sauce. One thing I should note is she did mention that you should poke it a lot so that it doesn't bubble up like it did. That would be a good idea. I did forget to do that, so poke it, because otherwise it blows up like you saw. For toppings, obviously you gotta put cheese on. So of course I've got my same shredded mozzarella here. Gonna just put cheese on, and yes, this is frozen, which is kind of dorky, but it's been thawing for a little while. Anyway, I like a lot of cheese. Now please note that this is cheese on top of cheese, so you don't have to make it quite as cheesy, but when in doubt, add more cheese is my motto. So. Alright, we got onions. I like onions on my pizza. Maybe not that many in one bite. Onions in there. My kids both work at a pizza place, so I'm sure they do this way better than I do. They'd be laughing at me right now. But we're doing a fun gambler's pizza. These are green peppers. So we're going to slap some green peppers on here. And obviously sprinkling them works better than dumping them. But these are green peppers, and these are fresh jalapenos. So when you get, some green stuff on your pizza, is it a green pepper or is it a jalapeno? And that pocket right there is going to be a pile of death. These are strangely warm jalapenos. We got a number of them in this latest batch that we got. That were pretty intense. And then, of course, you got to have some kind of meat, because vegetarian pizza is lame. So, hey, look, here's some pepperoni. I like pepperoni. So we're going to put a lot of pepperoni on here. And when I say a lot of pepperoni, I mean a lot of pepperoni. Did not count them. That's amazing. Perfect! So this is the part where you thought I was done, but see, you can't stop with toppings like this. You gotta put more cheese on the top. Because that would be wrong to have the pepperoni exposed like that. So you gotta have more cheese over the top of the pepperoni. So let's just say you don't eat a lot of slices of this type of pizza. Maybe 1 or 2. because there's lots of calories in every slice. Bake an additional 5 to 7 minutes or until heated through. I'm going to guess that it's probably going to be closer to 7 because this is frozen cheese. So we'll slap that in for 7 minutes and we'll check it in a second. So that's a little over 8 minutes. And it's looking pretty good. Let's go ahead and cut into a piece. Switch hands here. Actually, I can't because it's on a sill pad. Don't want to cut into a sill pad. Unfortunately, it looks like it's a little bit damp underneath. So it definitely didn't get any sort of crisp crust. Matter of fact, let's try something just for fun. This is basically defeating the purpose of the sill pad 100%, but I want to see if it will make the crust any more crisp by having it in this pan that has holes in it. Crunchy. I went ahead and turned the oven off. I'm going to let it sit in there for, I don't know, 5 minutes or so. So it's just residual heat, and then we'll see if it kind of dries out that cheese to make it a little bit crispier on the bottom. We'll see. This has been a lot more of an experiment than I thought it would be. So I let it sit for a while, and unfortunately it did not change the fact that it's definitely still very, very foldable. It's not crispy at all. And some people probably like that, but I'm a fan of like thin and crispy type pizza, so I'm a little disappointed, to be honest. Let me grab a pizza cutter and let's go to town on this guy. It smells really good, but again, I like to eat my pizza with my hands, and so the idea of having to eat it with a fork is kind of, I like being a little more barbaric, I guess. Now remember, this is a cheese crust with cheese on top of it. Tastes really good. I gotta say though, the texture is not what I wanted, because again, I was hoping that I could get a more of a thin and crispy kind of a thing, but it tastes really good. I'm getting to eat something that's even remotely like actually pizza, where normally I just have to scrape the toppings off when everybody else is eating pizza. It's kind of cool. So yeah, definitely good. I'll definitely make it again, no question about that. But if any of you have any experience making these type of pizzas and can get a thin and crispy crust, I'd be very interested in hearing from you. So please leave a comment and tell me what I'm doing wrong or what I need to do to make it crispy. I'm looking for thin and crispy. That's what I want. So anyway, until next time, please like and subscribe, and I'll see y'all later. Have a good one.